What the hell happened to my hair? This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 206 of the O The Anthem podcast. And no, we still haven't planned anything special. Thank you for joining us. It is 8:28 p.m. Pacific. That makes it 11:28 p.m. Eastern. And O The Anthem is live from coast to coast, broadcasting from the beautiful #OTA LA studios in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for telling other people. Thank you for liking on Facebook or retweeting on Twitter or liking on Instagram or any of the other very specific things you have to do at very specific locations. Every single one of those things is appreciated.
And, of course, you can find O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Plus if you're, hating yourself for whatever reason. And, of course, if you want to be part of the show, you can join us at youtube.com/O The Anthem/live, where we record every single episode and we have a live participation. You can join us right there in the chat. Or you can text the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
That's 443-219-7595.
Yeah. So here we are once again.
Yes, sadly. On a Monday, because we were waiting for some big news on Sunday. And I don't want to say disappointed. Maybe it wasn't what everyone expected, but certainly not disappointed. But we're not going to start there. You know where we're going to start, Corey?
All right, we're going to start with the Orioles.
Yeah, let it burn on its way out. Anyway, so of course we're going to start this week because it's once again opening day time in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. I'm really like, this time of year I get a little bit like skittish. Like I'm just like, I wonder if I can figure out some sort of way to get home and get tickets. Like I saw on the Ridgely's Delight Facebook page going like, somebody was just like, he bought 39 tickets and he's selling them at cost and all the money's going towards the Ridgely's Delight Neighborhood Association or something like that. I'm like, oh, I would totally buy one of those.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
it's only the $500, probably more like $800 flight home last minute. That would be a problem.
Yeah, I'm sure there's not a super cheap flight home.
Although opening day is on Thursday, so which is a surprise to me. It wasn't a surprise to Corey. I thought for sure that it was either Monday or Friday that they held these opening days on. But
it's not specifically given a date.
Yeah.
I mean, like they wanted to start in the beginning of April originally.
Right.
And then over the years, they've sort of pushed opening day back a little bit. Now it's in March. So basically keeps the World Series from happening in November.
Yes. Because after all, it's the boys of October, not the boys of November.
Yes, very much so.
But once again, we enter the season with a heart full of hope. And for us here in LA, a little bit of disappointment because no one in the country does opening day like Baltimore. And for the second consecutive year, we will not be with you all there on Utah Street in Baltimore, unfortunately. Well, I guess Washington Street first. Street first.
Yeah. Washington Boulevard.
Washington Boulevard at Pickles. We won't be there this year or at Sliders if you're the three of our friends who think that somehow that's the superior bar on Washington. We won't be there.
Or none of our friends at, what's the other one? The one in between. Cheap-ass beer.
The Bullpen?
Yeah.
Is the Bullpen? The one that's like a little slender
I can't
wine
bar?
Bar?
I've never been there. I'm there all the time, and I've never been there.
Don't go to that bar. That's not a good bar. But, Pickles is good. Sliders is okay. We've done both for opening day, and we've done both on the same day. But once again, we must recommend that you get a room at the Hyatt, which is right across the street from the ballpark. You get there. Do we do the night before and the night of? Yes, night before. So you can get up early, get charged, get some drinks, and you go down for kegs and eggs at Pickles.
Yep.
Get back up to the room to take a nap before the game starts at 3, and then back home again, or back down to the bar right before the game, into the game, enjoy most of the game, go home, pass out if you're me, or drive home if you're normal people who don't treat the game like that. So
here's one for you. I was just looking it up because I was curious.
Right.
The flight home for us, if we left Wednesday and came back on Friday,
right,
$577.
It's not bad. I mean, it's $577 I don't have.
Yeah, it's rent time, people.
Yes, I was gonna say. Also, the thing about it falling at the end of the month is that you don't really plan ahead for that kind of thing, and rents do. So I prefer living indoors for the next month over coming to Baltimore.
I don't know. It's tough though. It's pretty tough.
So Yeah, we are kicking off another fantastic season. We'll be watching from here. Obviously, Corey will be watching more than anyone else because the game starts at 4 unless they're actually on the West Coast.
Right.
The one advantage we have is we get to see the West Coast games on time.
At a reasonable hour.
At a reasonable hour. I get to miss all of the other games, though, because they play at 4 p.m. and I have a job. So,
though it is a little bit upsetting to think that I'm going to wake up at the game starts at 3 East Coast time, so noon here. Oh, man, so I wouldn't get the proper amount of like drinking and partying and carrying on.
Well, to be fair,
West Coast time, unless I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. That's what you should do. Absolutely. Or just don't go to bed and just stay up the whole night before.
All night.
Do what we did back in 14, maybe, where we stayed up half the night making medallions that I still have in a bag.
Oh,
in my
that's
closet,
right. Yeah.
And then sleep for 3 hours and then get up and drink all day. That is the recipe for success.
The mid-morning nap though is the most important thing. If you can get a hotel or if you live close enough to the ballpark where you can like go back to your place for a little while.
Get a little nap in.
A little nap is all you need. Just a quick little refresher. Usually you wake up still drunk.
I was going to say, sobers you up a little bit. Sobers you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not too much.
But you still got the buzz going, so it's all right.
And if you start out with a, oh man, what's it called now? You like jam the key in and open
shotgun a beer?
You shotgun a beer right off the bat after waking up. It really just gets the energy flowing right back.
There's been many opening days that start with tequila shots immediately first thing in the morning. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that anymore.
We're getting too old for that. It's a good thing that we're not there. We're getting too old for that shit.
My tequila is limited to Drinko de Mayo, drinking it Mayo alone,
which is coming up rather quickly, unfortunately. And, another holiday in April, which we did say we were going to celebrate.
Yeah,
so.
I think that we'll have to figure out some way to make that happen.
We'll have to see. Anyway.
We'll have to figure out like an appropriate way to like do that episode.
Yeah.
So that'll take some discussing. If you have ideas for how somebody would celebrate a April 20th holiday, let us know.
At O The Anthem on our social networks, or you can hit up Corey at otheanthem.com, which you'll find the link for. Oh, no, you don't have the emails on here.
Yeah.
Womp. Okay. Well, yeah. Corey at
social media.
Or hit us on social media. But excited about the year beginning again. Really excited that we'll get to see Manny Machado for the last time in an Orioles uniform, because we all know that that's what's going to happen. Any predictions for the year? I know normally we do a prediction. I don't know if I caught you off guard, but do you have a prediction for this year, Corey?
I am going to say that the Orioles will finish third in the American League East with a record of 89 and 83.
Does that add up to 162?
No. 89 and 73. Excuse me.
I was doing quick math in my head. I was like,
just like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait, the problem was I did the 8 and 8, and I didn't bother with the
2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1 is 3. Quick maths. Yes. Okay, so 89 and 73.
Yeah.
And usually, years past, being third in the American League East would not get you in the playoffs, but with 2 wild card positions, it's a possibility. Thoughts on the playoffs?
I think it's going to be close.
Okay.
But I do think the Orioles do it.
All right, so call your playoff positions right now. What are we looking at as far as the playoffs go? Because that means it has to be all AL East, basically. 3 of the 5 teams are going to make it to playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Yankees win the division. Red Sox first wild card. I'm going to take the Twins in the American League Central, and the Astros in the American League West.
Okay.
And the Indians will be the team that we're fighting with going into the...
For one of the 3, or one of the 2 playoff spots.
It'll be like the Indians, the Orioles, and the Mariners, I feel like.
Now,
are going to have like that running, like we're all within 1.5 games of each other for an entire month going into...
Is there any chance that the Angels are in that chase and we'd be able to see a wild card game here in Anaheim?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think the Angels are fine. I just don't... It doesn't like... At least with the Orioles, like I feel like if everyone gets hot, we can do one of those like win 13-0 all home run type of games.
Sure.
I don't feel like the Angels have the ability to like just go hog wild like that. And then on top of that, I don't feel like the pitching is. I mean, it's saying something if the Oriole fan is going like, I don't think the pitching's good enough, but I don't know if the pitching's good enough for the Angels either.
Well, that's.
But I mean, I'll definitely check them out when the Orioles come visit the Angels.
Sure. I mean, you'll go down for 3 games. I'll go down for 1 of the 3, and we'll take the Angels Express once again.
Yeah.
Down to Anaheim.
Though, hold on a second. I got a bone to pick with MetroLink. I forgot to bring this up a couple weeks ago when I was talking about the Capitals game.
You were so depressed about the Capitals.
I was so depressed with that. What the Capitals did to me. Where on the doll they touched me. So Southern California has a regional network, or regional rail line that takes you from bigger cities, and it's called MetroLink. And I said to myself, oh, why not use the incredible convenience of having the train station right down the street and take the train down to Anaheim and then the train back at the end of the night.
Sure.
And then I don't have to deal with traffic. I can enjoy myself before I go to the station.
What do you mean by enjoy yourself?
Find out more on April 20th. And yeah, I get down to the train station. I'm trying to buy a ticket, and then the person comes up to me and it's just like, "What are you doing?" Which is always a nice, like, when one of the rail employees is just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing at our kiosk?"
Why would you possibly want to go to Anaheim at this time of day?
And then they tell me, like, "Oh yeah, Anaheim only runs during the day on weekdays." I'm just like, "What's the fucking point? Like, I'm gonna get stranded in Anaheim if I go." So I had to go back, and I had to get my car.
You could take an Uber back. It'd only be like a $70.
Only be an $80 Uber ride. Exactly what I wanted to spend, along with everything else I did for the Capitals game.
That's just because hockey is awful, and baseball is America's pastime, and the Angels Express runs for every Angels game.
Yeah, I feel like the Angels subsidize that.
Probably so.
That rail line.
And the Ducks do not do anything. They have RC Cola in their stadium, for Christ's sake.
They're not subsidizing shit.
No. But yeah, so we'll make the trip down to see the Angels play the Orioles eventually. But
I would be curious too. I don't know if you are. I mean, I know it's all hypothetical at this point because we don't know what lie ahead. But I'd be interested in maybe taking a small road trip to one of the other parks on the coast.
Who are they coming out west to play?
Well, I mean, they'll play the A's in Oakland.
Yeah.
And they'll play Seattle at some point.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what the
any National League games out west.
I don't know. I would
love to go to Phoenix.
I think they're not playing the National League West this year.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I would really like to go to Phoenix for a game. Or I guess San Francisco would be okay, only because we know people that we could see there, so that would be all right.
Well, it's also good because it's a beautiful park.
Sure,
it's hard to beat Camden Yards. If I'm going to make a real argument for anyone else, it's AT&T Park.
Sure.
So it's like the Camden Yards of the West Coast. Do you have a prediction for what's going to happen this season?
No. Because here's the wild card: is that you're making that wild prediction, and we have no idea what might happen. Manny might be traded right before the deadline, and then it becomes a rebuilding year real quick after that. And maybe they trade away more than just Manny in a deal for him. Maybe they. I know we just brought in a new pitcher in the last week, but our pitching staff looks horrendous. But the Orioles just have a way of taking second-rate pitchers and turning them into contenders, at least for part of the year.
See, I don't know if I would call the pitching horrendous. I think that the pitching has been horrendous.
Name the 4 starters for the Orioles.
You mean the 5 starters for the Orioles?
Oh, well, there's the first problem. Okay, go ahead.
There is 5 starters.
Name me the 5 starters for the Orioles, and don't include the name Ubaldo in that.
It's not. Ubaldo has been banished off the face of the earth.
All right, go ahead.
Dylan Bundy's our opening day starter.
Sure.
Andrew Kashner is going to follow him.
Sure.
Kevin Gausman behind that.
Okay.
And then it's
there's the problem.
Tillman will be the 4th starter.
Maybe.
And Cobb, when he stretches out, will be our 5th.
Right.
But just mostly out of the fact that
and
he's not ready to go right now. So
that's a lot of great names. Tillman was our ace last year. He was gonna just take it.
But I'm saying, so think about it like this: Dylan Bundy has been building up his time to being a major league starter.
Right. Yeah.
Last year he was still on an innings limit of a kind.
Sure.
Gausman has been inconsistent, but when Gausman is good, he's really good. And when Bundy is good, he's really good.
Absolutely.
And Alex Cobb has proven to be a reliable
when
200 inning pitcher when Ubaldo
is good, he's really good.
That's not at all the case.
No, when he's good, he's good.
No,
Ubaldo is good when he's good. He's just not good very often, and that's the problem.
by the way, we have to wait until September before
Anybody comes
anything on
here?
the West Coast.
Oy.
That's Seattle.
Okay.
Seattle in September. I'm surprised that they aren't trying to lump these games together.
Yeah, like a West Coast swing.
Yeah. Did I completely miss them playing?
You must, because they've got to play in Anaheim.
There's no way. Yeah, they don't play on the West Coast like hardly at all this year.
Well, that sucks.
Definitely not the. Oh, wait a minute, that's home.
This is really exciting.
I know it's
Really
super
exciting for you
exciting.
guys.
Looking at the schedule.
Looking at the Major League schedule, which we probably could have done before we started,
Yeah.
but you know.
Oh, wait a minute. It's May.
There you go.
We play the Angels. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of May.
It's like in a month.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, god damn it!
And then Oakland is Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Why would you do that?
So-
Why would you do that?
So if you wanted to like go up for a Bay Area trip on like a Sunday, see the worst stadium.
see the beautiful city of Oakland and try to get out alive.
It's actually not in Oakland. It's in Alameda,
Oh well, that's all right.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, sure.
which is not better than Oakland.
No.
It's actually worse than Oakland.
Anyway, so no, I don't have any predictions because this is an impossible season to predict. I have a feeling that if they can't come to something with Manny by midseason, they are going to trade him. And I think at that point, it's just open season. If it looks like we're trading him, we'll trade anything and just call it a rebuilding year and get some draft picks and rebuild. And then I got to ask if Buck's coming back next year. If we don't have a team to put on the field in 2019, do you bring Buck back? And there's just a whole bunch of not great things that are going to result from that.
I think that the losing Manny, while it would certainly not help things at all. Mm-hmm. I think that there could be a package of things that come back that keep the team competitive if we're close.
So is this what you're talking about, a Cheryl type trade from back in 2013 where we gave up Bedard and it seemed like we were giving up a lot and then we ended up getting more in return?
I mean, like, in that Bedard trade,
Right. There was more than just Cheryl.
We got Jones, we got Cheryl, we got Tillman.
Right. There's somebody else,
and
too.
Then, there were two lesser players that never made it to the majors.
And didn't we make another trade at the same time somewhere else? And we got
Houston.
We got.
We traded Tejada
to Houston.
Then we got Luke Scott. And
That's what it was, Luke.
Yeah.
Yes, we got Luke in that trade.
I can't remember who else we did, but it wasn't like there wasn't any other like big huge name that I can remember. But I mean,
got a bunch of people who did produce at least in that season and the next season.
Right. And I mean, like, if you trade Manny and like put it this way, let's say we trade Manny and we get two major league ready prospects.
Sure.
One pitcher and one
is that all
third
he's
baseman.
Worth? Is
what?
that all he's worth?
No, but I'm saying like it. I'm just trying to make it as easy as humanly possible.
All right.
Because hypothetically, if you're trading Manny, you're probably wanting to get like 4 prospects for him.
You would like to think so.
At a deadline deal.
Especially because he's coming in with no baggage. There's no huge contract that you're going to have to, that the next team is going to have to, they're going to have to pay him.
Yeah, but they lose him.
Well, they're also going to be able to negotiate with him. And anybody who takes him is going to be the Yankees, the Giants, somebody who's going to be able to pay that big contract.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, like, let's just make it easy and say it's a one, like ready to go major league starter, one ready to go major league hitter.
Okay.
Then you're replacing Machado's spot in the lineup with the hitter that you get in return. Now, he's not going to be as good as Machado.
Right.
But maybe that starter helps in a different way. Maybe you get somebody who gets on base all the time.
Okay. So play a little money ball.
You're losing the power, you're losing the RBI potential, you're losing the glove, but you're getting on base more often for the hitters behind him to drive him home. So maybe you get more runs. Maybe you get some actual stolen bases for a change.
Wait. Is this assuming that Chris Davis is going to have a 2013 year and not a since 2013
year?
I
mean, this is the thing. Everything is in flux. You can't make accurate baseball predictions because you never know what the hell's going to happen. For instance, like I just drafted my fantasy team last week, and already Madison Bumgarner is out because he got hit by a pitch on his hand.
Who would have thought?
So I'm yes, when I drafted Madison Bumgarner, I imagined I would have a rock solid starter for the entire season. But then this happens, and now everything is in chaos.
Here's the question: did Chris Davis get his Adderall approved by the league?
I don't know. I think that was resolved a couple of years ago.
No, but you have to get their approval every single year.
Oh, I
That
know,
was
but
the
I'm
problem.
saying like I think they're ahead of that now.
You would think, being that he has Scott Boras as his agent, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know.
Super agent Scott Boras dropping the ball.
I think that the Orioles have the potential to have one more really good season. I think that you can't discount the fact that Buck is the best when it comes to putting together lineups when shit goes awry.
Also,
Like,
really good at arguing.
nobody is more industrious than Buck when it comes to roster construction.
Really good at arguing on
Yeah.
the field, as we saw. We watched a 19-minute video of managers arguing with umpires.
Yeah.
And Buck showed up like 3 times. It was
Yeah,
fantastic.
I love it when Buck argues. Real quick question before we move on.
Sure.
There's been a lot of talk about things that can be done to make baseball more exciting. Do you have any ideas of what Major League Baseball could do?
Yes. In extra innings, put a man on second. That's how
so you want the minor league rule?
No, I think the minor league rules are ridiculous. I take Mike, who does the Revolutions podcast that you hated me talking about years ago. Years ago now.
Because you said it every 15 seconds just
did.
to annoy me.
But what he said is, hey, how about guys, minor league games can end in a tie. How about that? That you don't have to play forever, that you just end them in a tie. They matter, but they don't really matter. And enough of those games will end in a tie that everyone in the league, in your little league, will have a few ties at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And it won't really make a difference. It's like your 51-51-51 rule. Is that what it is?
54.
Like, yeah, there will be a number of ties, but everyone will have a number of ties, and at the end of the year won't matter. How do you make baseball more competitive? You'd like to think speeding it up, but I haven't seen a difference in the pace of play, despite all of the pace of play rules. Baseball is a game for smart people. If you don't like baseball because it's so slow, it just ain't the game for you. And maybe that says something about your intellect and less about the game of baseball. There is a type of person who enjoys a 0-0 shutout that goes to 13 innings because that is a pitcher's and defensive duel. It's like, how are they, maybe it's not a perfect game, but how are they, picking up and stopping the runs and not allowing them to play small ball and pick up run production. And there are people who also enjoy a 13-12 blowout where it's just home run after home run. But if you need the 13-12 blowout with all the home runs, you don't appreciate baseball. Baseball is in the little things. It's beating out an infield single that gets a man on, and then two singles or a single and a sac fly after that move him around. That's what baseball is. So what baseball is trying to do is to make the game more appealable to dullards, and I guess that's fine because you're trying to make money. But
I have 3 ideas.
Okay, go ahead.
Number one, you can't cut out the time between the innings because the players need to go out there. They need to get warm. Pitcher needs to especially get warm to start pitching again. But I actually like what football had been doing more this season than I feel like I've seen it before, where they'll do ads, but they'll do it like overlaid on top of
the game.
Picture
in picture.
Like, so we can see Manny getting warm on the field. Like, we're still seeing some form of action, even if we're in the commercial break.
Sure.
I think that would be a good idea. I think that it would be a really great idea if you have like MLB TV or something like that, or like the streaming package.
Sure.
To be able to choose different commentary tracks, like open it up to people to be able to do live commentary. I think that's
like the manager's microphone. Where you can hear him be like, "This son of a bitch."
I think being able to choose your own commentary is like the next bastion for it.
And then it'll be really boring for like the first 3 months until guys just forget that they have the mics on. That's when it gets really exciting, when the mic becomes part of the just getting dressed for the day and they forget that they have it.
But I'm
on.
saying, like, if we've talked about our friends at Section 336 before.
Yes.
If there was a Tillman game where they've been railing on Tillman for weeks on their show, and Tillman's starting, then maybe that day I decide to listen to the Section 336 version of the commentary rather than...
But that would require them to actually do live commentary.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying I think that there's a way that this could be created and MLB would be able to grow audiences within the game.
I feel like we should pitch that to MLB TV.
Patent pending.
Because I would love to just do commentary. I'm the guy who doesn't know anything about baseball, but I'm just throwing in a little color here and there. And,
I got one more.
Yeah.
You ready for this idea?
Go ahead.
I've been scheming this one for a little
Here,
while.
I'm gonna give you the center of attention.
I've been scheming this a little while. I think it's a game changer. What made poker so much fun to watch on TV?
I hated watching poker on TV.
No, but I'm saying, like, why did people like poker?
Because they were betting.
No, so part of what the enjoyment of watching poker on TV was that even you didn't know how to play the game. You could have a generalized understanding of how the game was played, but they gave you the percentages along the way.
Okay.
As soon as the bridge came along, the numbers would all change, and it would say, like, oh, now he has a 77% chance of winning. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to do those numbers, and because the players already know this stuff, they can already figure out what their odds are based off of the cards and everything like that. But they don't know what everybody else's percentages are. I think that if Major League Baseball was able to use more of the StatCast information and give you live, like, sort of ideas of what might come next. So, like,
27% chance for a curveball here, and he's a 5%.
And an 0-1 counts.
Yeah.
Sonny Gray is most likely to throw a slider in the situation.
Sure.
Manny Machado is hitting 378 with 15 home runs against the slider this season.
Right.
And it just give you those automatic live data points so that people can feel more invested in, oh, I wonder if he's going to throw a slider now. Because part of the for me, why baseball is so incredibly exciting is because I'm in on every single pitch, and I'm going, like, is he going to try and break him off with a fastball high and inside? Like, what's going to happen next? I like the psychology of hitting and pitching.
Can we toss in the heat map for the batter along with the pitch tracker?
Sure. I mean, like,
make it look like a video game.
I mean, I think the more information you give, the more people will have an understanding and appreciation for what's going on in the field.
Okay.
And I think that there's a way to do it in today's age where either a second screen experience or just having it just be like on the bottom of the screen and like a little ribbon or something like that. I think there's a lot of chance for baseball to, I mean, basically make it like more like a video game.
And that's what it is. It's making a video game.
The kids will really enjoy it.
Oh, those kids will enjoy it. Okay, so we have a couple ideas. One of those is patent pending, so you guys can't do that. But contact us, MLB. We'll be happy to take a few $100,000 a year to do a commentary track.
Yeah, I mean,
I guarantee like 4 or 5 viewers a day, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
One of them might be us as we run it with muted on the TV, but whatever.
Just watching ourselves do commentary.
Yeah, sure, why not?
It's kind of funny. Like, I remember
we could be at Camden Yards too. I mean, really.
I mean, we don't have to do it here.
Oh, I mean, we could go to Camden Yards, but we could also just do it.
I mean, like, part of the allure, I think, of Major League Baseball in wanting this done would be that they wouldn't have to actually, like, take people in. It's not like they have to open up a booth for us to go to Camden Yards.
We would have a screen here in the middle.
Right. We'd be watching the game and we'd be doing it there.
That might be an idea just for us to do on like a Saturday. Just do our live commentary of the game.
Yeah.
Watch the game and
everyone don't watch the game this Saturday. Just like act like it's the 90s and like you're going to watch it on tape later.
Seinfeld episodes that would never happen in 2000. Don't tell me what happens. I'm trying to get home to see the Mets game. Yeah. Or we could just do it live during the game.
Let's do it live. Let's do it live.
All right. Anyway, so we've gone on for a long time, but we're very happy that Orioles baseball is back.
Regardless of the outcome, I'm very excited to see baseball. I looked over, I stepped out on the balcony and I looked over towards Dodger Stadium and I'm just like, I just miss baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I just want it back.
Today is the last Monday without baseball for 9 months.
Yay.
Yeah, very exciting. And I know some people from my work are now watching the podcast, are now listening, which means we have to stop talking so much shit about the people and the place where I work. But nonetheless, that also happened at the last.
Is that what we do?
Yeah. But I will actually not be wearing my usual uniform of black t-shirt and jeans
on Thursday.
Because on Thursday the jersey comes out. Because no matter where we are,
on Thursdays we wear hats.
On Thursdays we wear on opening days we wear hats. Yes, and I'm also going to be drunk at work, so keep an eye out for that. We'll also be happening.
You're just going to be calling up artists. You're going to be like, "Hey, Marshmallow, fuck you. Take off that stupid ass hat.
First of all, I love Marshmallow.
Oh, I know.
I am a member of the Mellow Gang.
All I know is I see your retweets of create Marshmallow stuff all the time. So I know he's a client, which is why I'm thinking.
And Will Smith came out at Ultra Fest in Miami and sang Miami with Marshmallow. That is amazing. It's amazing. You remember how much I was singing Miami while we were in Miami in 2015?
Yeah,
Every other minute? Yeah, just imagine how excited I was to watch that video. Anyway, so that's all the sports ball for this week. And moving on, we have plenty of other stuff to get into. We're a little short on time, so I want to jump into what I think is my favorite topic of the week, which is the March for Our Lives, which happened on Saturday all around the country. Most specifically, obviously, here in downtown LA, there was a version of the march, or not a version, what would you call it?
Iteration?
An iteration of the march. They also happened, of course, all around the country, and I got to see video all around the country.
DC most specifically was like the mothership of the marches.
And the anti-march that was in Salt Lake City, I think they did have a March for Our Lives march, but the pro Second Amendment march dwarfed the March for Our Lives march, which is saying something about Salt Lake City and Utah in general. But thoughts, Corey, about March for Our Lives before I get into mine?
I mean, I would be worried if I was a lawmaker who was not being proactive on what they were going to do about guns, because I heard this on a podcast earlier. I thought it was a really good point. While it seems like going out to a march and like sitting around for hours and like hanging out with other people and doing music and all the other things that protests are these days doesn't sound like a lot.
It sounds like really stupid, actually.
And it doesn't sound like it's a big step forward for actually getting anything done with gun reform. What it does show is that these number of people who show up at rallies in DC and New York and Miami and Los Angeles and everywhere else are people who are willing to spend enough time to go and do this, and therefore should have enough time to go and vote. So hypothetically, if all these people are willing to spend the time to go down to the protest, then they should be able to go to the voting booths in November and vote for the candidates who closely align with their views on the gun rights. So I think that I wouldn't be... The problem is that nobody's really coming up with nobody can agree upon the solution by which we minimize the impact of guns in school and society and stuff like that. But the fact that people are out there saying that this is an issue and willing to spend the time to go to one of these marches shows that at least they can be brought out of their homes for the purposes of doing something about it, and voting would be the best way for them to do that.
Historically, though, we can acknowledge that has not been the case.
No.
That social movements have happened for the last 20 years.
Well, the problem is that they burn out. Like
Occupy Wall Street, which started in October and did not produce a boost in voting in the November of that same
but
year.
The problem was, and again, this is the... I've talked about this in terms of liberal-leaning issues before.
Ooh. By the way, today is also the anniversary of the tweet where I said, I have a fear that Corey is taking a hard turn to the alt-right, and I wanted to record this for posterity. So thanks, Time Hop, for that.
I saw that. I don't remember what I said or did.
Could have just been a podcast recording.
Could have been anything.
Could have been a podcast recording, taking a hard turn to the alt-right, but here we go. Go ahead. Make that turn.
No. I think that the problem with many liberal issues is that nobody wants to... can we agree that gun control is a more liberal issue than a conservative issue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Can we agree that Occupy Wall Street was more of a liberal thing than it was a conservative thing?
I think that was a 99% thing. But
I'm saying, like, if you polled people who were there, how many of them would be Republican? How many would be Democrats?
It would be somewhat more Democrats than Republicans.
I think it would be a significant amount more Democrats.
Sure. Okay, go ahead.
10 plus points difference in Democrats to Republicans in that crowd.
I agree. Yes.
Okay. So here's the problem, is that you say you want change. You say you want change on Wall Street. So you're going to all get in Zuccotti Park and protest until things change. And at first, it was pretty standard, easy to understand. Like, we want the people who are responsible for the collapse to be held criminally
accountable.
Yeah, accountable, responsible. And we want the there to be changes in the law so that this sort of thing doesn't happen again. Easy enough. By the end of the first week of Occupy Wall Street, the demands were a list 500 things long.
It's actually over 1,000.
Nobody could agree on all 500 things.
Yep.
Some people thought oh man, we shouldn't completely ruin the entire economic system of the country all in one afternoon. And then there's other people who are just like, no, burn it down. And
down.
There's nobody who agreed in that large group of people. Now there's the same sort of thing going on with the gun rights or the gun control argument now, which is some people are, I feel like there's a lot of cover from the Democratic side of this issue of people who don't want to offend people that they know who have guns.
Right.
Which is why you hear a lot of listen, I understand if you want to go hunting and I understand if you want to blah, 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 blah. But I don't think that guns should be in the hands. No, those people don't really give a shit about hunting. They don't care if you like hunting or anything like that. They're just saying that to appease you.
Yeah, of course.
And make it sound like they care about you.
Which they don't.
If it were up to them, all the guns would be gone. It doesn't matter. All of them would be gone. And the problem is nobody's willing to come together and really discuss what arguments or what they really want and what they don't want. And most people don't even understand what the fuck the differences are.
Let me ask you.
Why a gun, say you made the AR-15 illegal.
Right.
And then they sold another gun that was just like the AR-15, but with a modified slide or something like that.
Charging handle?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And
really, the pistol grip is what gets people.
Right, but I'm saying you make a new AR-15 with a new change to it,
Sure.
a new shoulder mount or whatever.
Well, so here's the thing: if I showed you a Ruger 22, it's essentially the same as a AR-15. Caliber is slightly different, but essentially it's the same thing.
Yeah,
and it fires semi-automatic, but there's no pistol grip. It looks like a rifle. So I put it to my shoulder, and I just go pop, 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 pop. And people are like, oh, well, that's clearly a hunting. If I don't shoot it, they're like, oh, that's clearly a hunting rifle.
Yeah.
But it's a magazine-fed, semi-automatic rifle that is slightly smaller caliber than an AR-15. But when you hold an AR-15, it's got that pistol grip.
Yeah.
And you're holding it, and it's oh, that's scary.
Right.
And it's black, and it's plastic. So that's a difference. It's all about how it looks.
Clearly, most of the problem goes that the people who want the guns taken away don't know enough about guns to decide what guns should be taken away.
And they make it
and
really
the people who make the guns don't want the guns to be taken away at all.
Yes.
So they're not going to make it any easier for the people who don't. This isn't any different than drugs and sports.
Sure.
People want to cheat. They want to take steroids. They want to get better and outpace the competition, but they need to stay ahead of the drug testing policies. And finding new undetectable drugs is part of the deal. Much like the gun lobby is all about finding new ways of getting the same guns out there, even when the old ones are made illegal.
Sure. Let me ask you, how do you feel about this image?
Muskets, we meant muskets.
I'm going to show this to the camera. I don't know how well you can see that.
It's a little kid dressed like a founding father holding a sign that says, muskets, we mean muskets.
We meant muskets.
Yeah.
So, and of course, for those of you who aren't aware, clearly what he is implicating there is that the founding fathers wrote the Second Amendment and they had muskets in mind. So when they said the right to bear arms, what they meant was muskets. What are your feelings about that particular image?
To me, the issue of the Second Amendment was never about the actual guns,
Okay.
what type of gun it was. Because clearly the founding fathers weren't stupid enough to think that only muskets would survive forever. They would know that something in 200 years' time we would have graduated from the musket into something different.
Yeah, within the time period of the Revolutionary War, they had muskets that went from firing 1 round per minute to 5 rounds per minute.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I think that if I can put myself in the mind of the founding fathers, I imagine that they thought we would deal with new problems as they arose. And we wouldn't allow, you can't buy a grenade launcher.
I wish you could, but you can't.
You can't. But that's because as soon as the grenade launcher was made available to people, mostly, military and stuff like that.
And police, who we can definitely trust with them. Yes.
Because why does the police need a grenade launcher?
Of course they need it.
They figured, we'd come up with ways of solving these problems on our own as they came along. And for some of these things we have, but some of these things we haven't.
Well, so here's the argument I made on that post. You can find that post right here at Robert N. Cheek on Instagram. I posted that. It's that if your argument is that the Second Amendment is frozen at 1791, when the Bill of Rights was approved, then you have to also say, well, so were all of the rest of the amendments then. So a search of a car isn't protected by the Fourth Amendment. They don't need a warrant for that.
Right.
And freedom of the press means a single pressing newspaper. And freedom of assembly is limited to a bunch of guys getting together at a pub. Because, by the way, a bunch of guys getting together at a pub.
Well, how succinct are we going with this? Because the right for women to vote was on the initial.
That was another amendment. That amended the Constitution.
So as soon as a new amendment comes along to fix the problem, that's okay with us.
Well, no. So the amendment there just meant equal application of the law.
Right.
That meant that voting rights suffrage was given to different people as we went along. The argument could be made that none of the protections of the amendment of the Constitution beforehand go to that person. Equal protection is the 14th Amendment.
Yeah.
You could argue that none of that actually applies if everything is frozen at. More importantly, you could say that the Equal Protection Clause, which says, hey, state laws have to be applied equally everywhere, or federal law has to be applied in every state. Well, but in 1791, when they passed the first of the Bill of Rights, there was only 13 states. So it really only applies to those 13. Or maybe it applies to the 22 that were around when the 14th Amendment was passed. Or does it apply to all 50? Where do you draw these lines to say that history stops here?
On that one specifically, I would think that if you're a state joining the union after the fact, you're agreeing to the rules that are being put in ahead of time. Much like if you were moving into a new apartment and they said, this place doesn't allow dogs, then you would not bring a dog. Right. Because there's preset rules saying that you can't do that.
Yeah, and we fought a whole war to decide who got to make those rules.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think so. But to say that the idea of technology is frozen at 1791 as the Constitution applies is ludicrous. Because what you want is to have an argument about the technological fallacy. That, one, they could have never predicted that guns would get better. There was a machine gun used during the Revolutionary War. It's called a pickler gun, and it was a rotating thing that you turned, and as you turned it, the hammer dropped on different cylinders.
Yeah.
Fired out rounds.
Is it like that one that looks like bales of dynamite?
Yeah, it's called a coffee grinder. And it just fires over and over again. And you could feed rounds into the thing as it fires, and it was a machine gun. So they knew what a machine gun was. And with that in mind, they still said we had the right to bear arms. And we could talk all day about the clauses and where you put commas and why it was very important where they put the commas, but none of that matters. That argument that child is making is that the technology froze at that point. Well, great. If we're going to apply that rule, then printing presses are freedom of the press. Internet is not. You can't get together with people on a chat room and consider that to be freedom of assembly. Law does not apply because we are frozen in 1791, which is ludicrous. I agree. So that's not what we should do. The funnier part of my argument is that, one, people were like, hey, are you going out to the protest today? And I said no. And people were very upset about that. And they wanted to know why. And clearly, to you guys, you don't listen to the podcast. So shame on you. But we've talked before about how when there's like dance circles and that's not a protest to me. And I can't get down with that. And my understanding was that the one in LA was actually a little far more protest this time than it had been previously. It moved around and there were speakers and that's fine. But I'm not down with the protest as let's make a scene culture. I'm down with the protest as fuck the police culture. And when I protested Freddie Gray's killing in Baltimore, that was, we are going to march from here to here, and if the police make a line in the way, we're going to keep marching, and they will move out of the way. Not, all right, let's get our permits in. Let's make sure the route is pre-approved. We'll have the cops come by. We're going to all leave school, but only if the administration of the school approves it. Yeah. And when they approve it beforehand, then we're going to go ahead and leave school. And the biggest argument I made amongst all these kids support them 100%. They want to make change in their country. And I am just going to wait for the day when, I don't know, they're 23, 24 like I was, and all of that youth and vitality has been sapped out of them, and the belief that they can actually make change in the world is sapped out of them. And they realize that the only way to make true change in a country like this one, a country that one of the parties has declared open war on the courts and has said, courts, we're not going to do what you tell us to do. When they're trying to limit voting rights everywhere as much as possible so that they can control the outcome of an election. In a country like that, there is only one way to bring about real change. And it's the actual intention of the amendment in the first place.
Yeah.
When a government becomes so totalitarian that it cannot be changed through the means by which they created to change it, then there is only one other way to do that, and that's by a violent uprising, the same way that they did the first time.
And I mean, like, here's basically where I lay on your constitutional argument on this. I never really thought of the right to bear arms as sort of like carte blanche to own whatever gun was made available.
Okay.
I always thought of it more as the right of gun ownership wouldn't be deterred, because if we need to overthrow the government again, like we did in the Revolution, when we separated ourselves from England, we needed guns in which to defend ourselves in open warfare against another government.
Yes.
And if America was going to get too high and mighty and needed to be taken down a peg, then we should be able to rise up as a citizenry against it.
Yes.
But that rising up, much like you said, that rising up against the government is not something that you get permits for or anything like that. And I would argue that it's really about figuring out in your mind what the Second Amendment means to you. If it means that there is if it's about defending yourself against a tyrannical government, then I think that the laws of guns should be opened up to literally anything that the government can get, probably minus like nuclear weapons or something like that.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, like, I should be allowed, if the thing is keeping a tyrannical government in line, then I should be allowed to buy drones that can just take out the White House or something like that.
Yeah, but and see, I mean, there's an argument for that, but in the end,
because I mean, if we all, if the best gun we can possibly get is
an AR-15,
and we're going to march on Washington and take over the tyrannical government with our AR-15s, they're just going to fucking drone us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk to the,
or they're going to pull the tanks out or something like that.
Let's talk to the citizens of Vietnam, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, Nigeria, and I don't know, 17 other places where the drones don't mean anything, the tanks don't mean anything, the planes don't mean anything. Because if the war comes and you're fighting in your own state, there is no way that an American from somewhere else who's fighting for the army, and by the way, would also have to be now so strong for their government that they shoot other American citizens.
Yeah.
That they would say, these people believe in this so much that they are willing to come with their guns and try to overthrow the government. And I believe in what I believe so much that I'm willing to kill them for it. I was watching an episode of Homeland last night where Brody, spoiler alert if you haven't seen like season 4 of Homeland, Brody records his video, Congressman Brody, and he says, I took an oath as a Marine to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I believe that the enemy that we're fighting now is the domestic enemy is the worst that we've ever fought. Like, that is what the mentality of most of the Army will, the armed forces will be, I think. But I think that there's going to be a special moment sometime in the future where Emma Gonzalez, the protester from Parkland, who's kind of like become the face of the movement. She has the shaved head. She was the one who like said all of those things initially. I think
did the 6-minute long silent speech.
She is going to have a Patty Hearst moment. She is going to join the new version of the Weather Underground, or the I would say Black Panthers, but obviously not the Black Panthers, the White Panthers or the Brown Panthers or whatever it is. She's going to join some movement, and someone's going to catch a picture of her holding an AR-15 at some camp somewhere in the Florida Everglades, training to overthrow the government, because she's finally realized that there is no way that going to a voting booth or trying to petition her state or her federal representatives for change, that will never work out. So she's going to, because I see the passion. I know she just wants to change things for the better. And I know that most of those kids who are out there just want to do that. And when they reach the point that I reached in my mid-20s, that they realize that that's just not going to happen, someone's going to snap a picture of her holding an AR-15 in the Everglades at some camp, and it's going to make me the happiest I have ever been in my life. Because what those kids don't realize is they're protesting against the very thing that can bring about the liberation that they seek. That's what it comes down to. The largest period of disarmament in American history followed the American Revolution. Because after people overthrew the totalitarian government, they believed that they were safer than they had ever been before. And a lot of them just gave up their arms freely.
See, I feel like the biggest problem is that nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Well, that's also true.
That's really the biggest. I mean, so like, most gun deaths are suicidal. Most people are killing themselves. And, is there a part of me that would like there to be some sort of law or function that would keep guns out of the hands of people who are looking to kill themselves?
Yes. I agree with that.
I would very much. I feel like, like part of common sense gun legislation is making sure that it stays out of the hands of people who might be a danger to themselves or others.
I was saying, how about the mentally ill who want to hurt others?
Yeah.
Totally for that too.
Yeah.
How about people who don't know how to use the gun and just walk in and buy it off the street?
Or people who have like a proven criminal record. Like, obviously, all these people should have their access to guns severely restrained.
Right. And that's what we call common sense gun control.
And
the problem is, though,
and it's the type of thing like, if I own a gun and I know you to be suicidal,
I need to keep it away from you.
I need to figure out there needs to be some sort of manner in which only I can access the gun.
How about a gun safe that has 4 buttons on top and a cover? So in order to get access, you have to stick your hand into the cover and press the 4 buttons in a certain sequence.
Yeah.
That's 12 keys long.
Yeah.
In order to open up the safe.
Right. And then don't tell whoever don't go like, hey, the code's 49744342.
No, because it's not even numbers. It's your fingers.
Oh, I know. But
There's
I'm saying,
only 4 buttons. So how would I tell you what the code to my gun safe is? It's
right.
Like, all right, first finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, middle finger, ring finger, first finger. There's no way you would ever memorize that. It's something you do by touch.
There's no way I would ever memorize.
Well, that's true. I would. Maybe there are people who could.
It'd just be like, God damn it, I can't get in my gun safe.
But no, and I'm all for common sense gun control. I think that there is regulation that you can put in place, but I still think I'm going to have a happy moment in like 10 years when all these kids join some huge revolutionary movement to overthrow this oppressive government, and they use guns to do it. It's going to be fantastic.
See, I feel like the version of overthrowing the government at this point is just you gotta figure out the people who are the worst offenders and then make it so that their lives are so miserable that they don't want to stay in the public eye anymore.
I don't think you understand how this works. Those are the ones who benefit the most from it. Why would they go anywhere?
No, but
if they're replaced by people who are just
Oh,
as
I know,
bad.
but I'm saying like the only I mean, like, hypothetically, if this were to go to the final end, then it would end with you just like picking off politicians who you disagree with guns. But I'm saying like the problem is that, like
not sensing
a lot of people would say like, like Trump's the problem. Trump's the worst we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore he must fall. But then there's the other side which would say Obama's the worst we ever had, and for that reason he must fall. Okay. Like, I'm saying that...
Well, people didn't like Obama because he was black. People don't like Trump because he is a totalitarian dictator in waiting.
I mean, it was very much the... it's not because he's black, but of course it's because he's black.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate Obama because he's black. I hate him because he's part of a secret deep state conspiracy.
Here's
to
the thing,
take over.
I'm not scared of Trump anymore.
By the way, just real quick, I mean, we kind of touched on Cambridge Analytica last week, and I really would like to get into it more, like, when we have time to do it.
Yeah, not today.
Right, not today. But I'm saying, like, all the people I hear on the right who are complaining about the deep state and who's the one who pays the protesters?
Soros.
George Soros having, like, his thumb on the button and everything like that. Cambridge Analytica was the Mercers. And Bannon and these people.
A lot of silence, though, from those people.
And I'm saying, like, this seems like the most deep statey of it. I mean, like, if you're talking about somebody who's trying to put their finger on the influence of American politics, then it seems like Robert Mercer is right up at the top there. Yeah. I feel like Soros doesn't do anything. I mean, like, there's a lot of, like, Soros paid protesters to show up. Like,
paid 1 million protesters $1,500 each. Which, do that math real quick. What is that? $1.5 billion?
Yeah.
Of his $10 billion he spent on one protest.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's been spending a lot of money on protests. By the way, doesn't work. No. There's go look at extras who can't do their jobs. Like go to YouTube and just search like bad extras or something like that. I'm sure you'll find somebody who's like sweeping like 15 feet above the ground and
yes.
Somebody who's eating a salad like a maniac, or like,
and I do want to get into
somebody who's like constantly talking like this. Like,
I do want to get into Cambridge Analytica, and I also want to get into the way that Facebook plays into that. I feel like this week we're going to hear a lot more about Facebook. There's been a lot of news about
it's
that.
It's been kind of slow drip just because first we needed Facebook to respond to it,
and they did today. So
and then we needed time for people to lose their minds based off of what Facebook made publicly available, and then next week I imagine will be the week where things.
So that may
this
be
week
next
will
week.
be where things come together.
But in the end, to go back, I am no longer scared of Trump anymore. Because what I found out is that a voluptuous woman with blonde hair can basically turn him into a toddler. Not that we didn't think he was a toddler already, but thanks to Stormy Daniels on 60 Minutes, we found out that someone who really just gives him a little bit of lip and apparently reminds him of his daughter, and then he sleeps with her a few minutes later, as disturbing as that is, who spanks him
By the way,
with a rolled up Time magazine.
That's two
women.
Two women who've said that he compliments them on how much they remind him of Ivanka.
And then he has sex with them.
And then he has sex
Yes,
with them.
or after.
Right.
And in fact, there's a third one now, and the story I read today was that the story of the third one matches the previous two.
Here's the thing. I feel like Trump gets himself in these problems all by himself. If he said, wow, you're really smart and polished like my daughter, Ivanka.
Yes.
Like, that's something you can say because you're proud of your daughter.
Right.
And because you really... But
I probably wouldn't still. I would not compare any woman I wanted to sleep with to my daughter.
No. And I'm saying, like, even if you have a hot daughter and you want to say, like, oh, my God, isn't she beautiful? Like, she's just, like, what luck to have a beautiful face like this.
Is it okay to pat her on the ass as she goes by?
No, but I'm saying, like... there's ways of potentially saying things where it doesn't sound so fucking incriminating. Mm-hmm. And this is not going like, oh, you're sexy like my daughter Ivanka. It's not the way to, like,
now come here.
Come here and suck my dick. Like, it's not the way to, like, get things.
Yeah.
Make people think less of this moment.
So we wanted to wait to podcast today because we wanted to have an opportunity to review the interview.
I wonder if Jared just, like, sits around going, like, I wonder if he fucked my wife.
Or does he sit around like, I wonder if he's going to fuck my wife again? Yeah. I mean, when she was 15, I wasn't around, but now I'm here, so it'd be weird.
You remember how I talked about the idea of, like, Mueller coming to the lectern one day and just, like, dropping, like, a huge manila folder on the thing and just being like, I have 54 charges against the president today. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if he's just like, I have charges. I'd like to get through them all. I'd like to start with this one. What's the name of the thing?
Incest?
Incest.
Yes.
Incest. Count one.
Photographic evidence.
Furiously typing. It's like he started with that.
The whole room just clears out as everybody's running for the cameras.
Running for their telephones. Like,
Jim, you're not going to believe this. I need to go live right now.
Get me Anderson Cooper.
Yeah. Anyway, so... On that note, where do you go from there? But we wanted to wait for today so we could watch
to jail. That's where you go from there.
We wanted to watch the Stormy Daniels interview. I want to say that I was surprised, but in the end, basically she just confirmed all the things that had been reported before: the spanking, the sex, the payoff, the fact that Melania was home with an infant,
Shark Week.
Yes, the fact that she'd been paid off right in the run up to the election that had happened in October, and basically
that it was Michael Cohen, and there wasn't any direct influence from what appears to be the Trump campaign or Trump himself, even though it's just because nobody signed nothing.
Right. Yes, and they tried to avoid that by having him sign it. But if Trump actually repaid him, then maybe it's a campaign finance violation. It's like a whole thing. It's a whole thing, and we'll have to wait to see how Mueller deals with that. But in the end, no big surprises, except for I honestly felt a little bad for her because when she kicked it off, I was like, oh, whatever. Okay, yeah. But at the end, I really thought that she was thinking, I want to stay private. I'm signing this because I want this to stay a private matter. And then everyone else digging into it. And then basically the president being like, no, she's disgusting. I would never do that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Because, by the way, guys, the worst thing you can do is give a woman that kind of power over you. Either way. Because, by the way, if you brag about sleeping with a woman who you've never slept with, you give her the power to say whatever she wants about your abilities or your physicality or anything else. And if you say, no, I haven't slept with her, she has the ability to produce some kind of evidence like, oh, he's got a mole right here. And there's no way that she would know that unless she had.
Yeah.
Or, he likes being swatted with a Time magazine with his family on the cover, which matches stories from two other women who said the same thing. So
there's one part of the story though that kind of didn't sit with me the right way. Mm-hmm. And I imagine that if I put on Fox News, I'd be hearing. If I heard anything about this, I'd only be hearing about this. But there was a story where she was in Vegas. She was at a parking lot, and some shady character comes up to her and basically says, like, "You don't talk about Trump. You know, bad things will happen." And she has her kid in the back and just be like, "Beautiful kid, shame if something were to happen to it," or something like that. And the fact that she didn't go to the police or do anything about that seems a little fishy.
I think based on the life that she's lived and the people that she has been around her whole life, that she would have a genuine fear of that. I also think that Trump is the guy who hires the goon from Central Casting to actually go and do that. Like, I think it would be really ironic if Anderson Cooper had gone through pictures and found a picture of anyone who had been associated with the Trump campaign and then had her sit through and look at your picture. Because she said she could have picked him out if she'd seen him again. And just have her go through and be like, oh, wait. Yeah, that's him.
It was Scaramucci. It's like, how do you not know his name?
The Mooch. Come on. Well, he was only in the news for 10 days, so she might have missed that. She's got a family and stuff. So
hey, it'd be a shame if something happened to that beautiful kid of yours. Anyway, Mooch out.
That's why he was calling himself Mooch. Ugh. But no,
it seemed really odd that he called himself the Mooch.
I think that that's probably the least plausible part of the story.
Yeah.
But in the end, I don't think that she throws in a detail like that unless it's not true. Like, why would you throw in that kind of detail that could prove your story false and bring your story into question?
Well, because that would hypothetically be something that would allow her to break the confidentiality of the. I mean, like, if I signed an NDA, but then you still kept threatening me afterwards.
I think what's going on now is enough to break the NDA. The threats that the president of the United States is making now is enough.
But he's not saying anything right now.
Well, his people
are denying all allegations. Yeah. Which isn't really like going one way or the other on this. You know, it's just straight deny. It's not anything. It's not like it's like that's bullshit. She swatted me with a Forbes and it wasn't a Newsweek. I mean, like, I didn't do it.
As we said, that's the way that Trump likes to argue. He finds the one little thing you've gotten wrong and then doesn't admit.
I would never get it swatted by a Times.
Never. Not worth it. All right, so we had a lot of
the
other
paper's
stuff.
Too brittle on my butt.
We got a lot of other stuff that we didn't get to this week. Do you want to do just a quick 5-minute lightning round?
Yeah, let's do
just
it.
roll through this. Okay. I wish we had something like pew, 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 pew.
I think we just
lightning
did.
Round.
I think we just did.
Okay. So in the news this week, Trump announced that he was going to expel 60 Russian diplomats.
Yes.
Any thoughts?
Close down the Russian embassy in Seattle.
Consulate, yes.
Yeah.
The embassy's only
Right. Yeah. That's what I meant.
So this is in response to what happened in the UK, which, of course, Fox News is saying, hey, there was a false flag incident in the UK, and now we're snapping on our Russian allies.
It seems to me like if you wanted to get involved in the Russian poisoning scandal that's going on right now with Putin, when you had him on the phone the other day would have probably been the time to do that.
Good time. Good time to bring it up.
You could have listened to McMaster, who got fired, and where it says "Do not congratulate Putin," and instead of congratulating him, you could have been like, "Hey, what's up with all those people you killed?"
Yeah. And by the way, he's got a high body count. Yeah, high body count.
Oh yeah, if you want to talk about, I mean, like all the people I've ever heard going like, "You gotta believe how many fucking skeletons are under Hillary Clinton's thumb." I'm just like, wait till you see Putin.
Yeah.
Take a little bit on Putin.
Speaking of a high body count, just this week, although it seems like many generations ago, John Bolton got appointed as the National Security Advisor.
Yeah. Over the aforementioned H.R. McMaster.
Yes, and there was a news report that said, hey, he agreed to become the National Security Advisor, that he would not push for war against any country. And John Bolton, being John Bolton, made a press release where he said, no, I didn't agree to that. Not that I'd go to war, but I didn't agree that I wouldn't push for war if it was absolutely necessary. So that mustachioed man is now in the White House advising Trump. And that should scare all of you. Of all the scary things that have happened, that is perhaps the scariest.
Literally every single foreign confrontation since Bush won is basically in some way or another Bolton's fault.
I mean, you can go back to Bush or Reagan before that, because he worked for Reagan.
Oh, that's right. He was in Reagan's.
He was under Wolf.
But Reagan didn't really have any huge.
There was a couple. There was a couple.
Yeah.
Just
There was more skirmishes than.
I would.
It's
say
not like the Gulf War or the Iraq War or Syria or.
You could blame Al Qaeda on John Bolton because he pushed for arming the Mujahideen and training them.
True.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So thanks, John Bolton, for that. John Bolton to blame for 9/11. I'm not saying that that's a direct connection. I'm just saying Al Gore invented the internet. John Bolton caused Al Qaeda.
Yeah. There we go.
Sure. Okay. Speaking of wars, Trump is trying his damnedest to get us into a trade war as he announced new tariffs this week against China, amongst other countries.
Good job. I don't know what to say.
By the way, I don't know. People are like, hey, what do we even get from China? What does it even matter?
Literally everything.
Yeah. Listen, people who shop at Walmart, check some of the tags on anything that you buy. I know that you think Walmart's like the all-American store and it's like made in America. Nothing is made in America anymore. And the thing that you're buying that was like, oh man, we can get 5 for $1 is about to be 1 for $5 after these tariffs go into effect. It's going to be ridiculous. But luckily, apparently, the new Secretary of State nominee has, he's not taken the position yet because he hasn't been affirmed. But his people in the State Department are starting to start conversations with China about easing those trade tariffs because Trump had to come out strong.
Yeah,
he didn't mean any of it.
He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely not.
He's just trying to act tough. And here's the problem. Anybody who's been watching the stock market recently knows that it's been way up, way down, way up, way down. It had like a 600 something point day today to close it. Yeah, to close it like 24, down. But it was down like 700 the other day.
Yeah, yeah.
For people who don't know, the stock market is not so much about regular investors who are trading and like calling up going like dump all my Facebook or something like that.
Although they should. They absolutely should.
It's people who manage many funds and then make quick moves based off of little tiny things that create dramatic shifts in the market.
Yeah.
The reason why we're seeing like 600, 700 point shifts in the market right now is because of things that like Robert Mercer started when he did his group. I can't remember the name of them, but whatever. Because they created funds. Yeah, they created the mutual fund the way that they could automatically create triggers to have stocks buy and sell based off of what they were doing in analytics. And the reason why we're seeing these huge fucking swings is because of things like that. Thousands upon thousands, if not millions of trades happening in seconds based off of numbers that get hit. So if all of a sudden Facebook, just using a random company, drops below a certain dollar amount, then the computers are sent to dump all Facebook stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, guess who doesn't have those computers? You and your retirement account.
Right.
So you take the hit.
The guy Jim, who who knows the stock market pretty well, has been managing your fund pretty good, is not able to compete with the supercomputers. So, by the way, just fun fact, I don't know if you ever heard this story, but there is real estate in Manhattan that is charging 4 or 5 times the amount of normal real estate in Manhattan because it is within a like on the same landline or like the same infrastructure as the stock market,
right? And
therefore gets their information fractions of seconds quicker,
right,
than other people get it. And because they can get it fractions of find out what's happening on the floor fractions of seconds quicker, they can make trades fractions of seconds quicker.
Because computers are making trades. Yeah.
And therefore they are some of the biggest mutual funds out there because they can make the high impact trades quicker than everybody
else. By the way, Jim, the guy who's managing your retirement, what happens is these guys, with the computers, they affect the day. And then Jim puts in his trade for first thing in the morning, and you take a hit overall on your entire retirement. And then they shift things around, and Jim is once again behind the ball so that you lose more money, and then lose more money, and lose more money. You can't keep up, and you can't make the money back. And you're just going to consistently be a loser. And they continue to be winners, which is why I say kill them all and eat the rich.
It's because people, much like guns, they don't know how the stock market works.
Yes.
So,
and the people who do will continue to make the rules, by the way.
Yeah, and by the way, the number of people who actually know what the stock market is doing is probably about like 15 people.
Yeah.
Like there's a very small select group who actually know every part of the ins and outs of the market.
And
they're the ones who are profiting the most.
Well, only one of them has said, I won't make money on that. And that's Alan Greenspan, who I guarantee you knows everything that's happening before it's happening and just refuses to make any money on it. So good for him. But he's already a rich man. He doesn't need more money. One more thought. The budget got passed. The omnibus budget bill got passed this week. It got passed by the House in what they called a mushroom-style governance, which is covered by shade and fed shit. And then they expect us to vote for it, and the House voted for it anyway. And after the House voted for it, I looked at Corey and I was like, yeah, no, the Senate's going to vote for it. And he was like, well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things, and da-da-da. How'd that go, Corey?
They voted for it overwhelmingly.
Yep. What's the only thing that got changed between the two bills?
It was like a park or something like that.
Naming a national park in Salt Lake or in Utah.
Yeah,
where one of the senators vetoed or didn't veto but changed it because he had a personal problem with the senator who the park was going to be named after.
Right.
And the House basically said, all right, we'll do a consolidation where we just remove that aspect. And so they have a bill, and in a few minutes they just cut that aspect out and send a bill to the president. So. How'd that work? How'd that motions of government and Senate slowing everything down in natural order? How'd that work?
Yeah. For all the kids who are out there protesting gun rights or gun control, I'm glad that you spent a Saturday out doing that. Mm-hmm. Your problem is not with the Republicans. Your problem is with the Democrats. None of them fucking stood up for anything that they were supposed to stand up for this entire fucking time. Yeah. And that's always been the problem. Mm-hmm. The Republicans are evil. Yes, they're doing many evil things. But part of limiting the evil is having people who have backbones and are not cowards to stand up on the other side of the issue. And that's not happening. By the way, only people in the Senate who probably voted no on this bill are the ones who hope to run for president at some point in the next 15 years. So we had like Booker and Warren and Gillibrand and...
How many senators would have been required to stop the bill?
41.
Nope.
Was it a straight up?
Only one.
Really?
Because they could have filibustered the third reading.
Yeah,
you could have stood up there and filibustered the third reading.
Yeah.
But not one person said, this is important enough for me to filibuster. Why? Because there's defense spending in it. And the president has been saying all week, we need to fund our military.
Well, and people weren't paying attention.
That's also true.
It came together real quick. There wasn't any mobilization of like call your senators. The moment is now. They're gonna do this without DACA.
By the way, another post that I saw from this time last year was, hey, can we go one day without you threatening my basic human rights and making me call my senator?
Yeah.
Like, this is just another thing. But the budget got passed, and we're all going to get fucked, and they're the ones fucking us, and at least I hope they enjoy a cigarette afterward. So, kids from Parkland, I understand that you're really upset about the guns thing, and I'm upset about it too, and I don't want kids to die in schools, and I don't want guns to be in the hands of crazy people. But we got a lot of things going on, and can you please get your asses to fucking voting booths in November of this year? Honestly, just go out and vote. Because you guys voting in Florida means a lot more than us voting in California
or Maryland.
People voting in Maryland or anywhere else.
Yeah.
You voting in Florida means a lot. Although people in the first district, make sure you get out and vote too.
Yes, please.
District of Maryland.
Please.
You can make a big change.
Yeah.
But here, it's not going to matter.
I feel like if there was an opportunity to just like kick Andy Harris, like put him in stocks and just like kick him for like a week.
Yeah.
Like maybe that would get some of the evil out of the, like if you could literally just put the unwanted politicians in the public square and let them get what's coming to them, like back in the day.
If you could just threaten to put them in the public square, how many of them would retire rather than run for? Oh wait,
yeah,
they're
that's already what's happening.
Doing that,
yeah.
Weird. Funny thing about that.
Anyway, do you want to know where you can find directions to the public square?
Hey, where's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey at OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. And you can find more of me at CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, at LegendCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, or Corey Baker Film on Facebook. And a new review will be coming up very shortly. We just saw Red Sparrow the other day.
Yes, we did.
I was trying to remember the name. I was just going to say, we saw Jennifer Lawrence the other day, but it was more than just her. There were other people in this movie.
Jeremy Irons is in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Sure. So check out for that. Keep an eye out at Corey Baker Film. Is probably where you're going to see it first.
And you can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, the news website, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Firehouse Books.
Thank you, sir. And of course, make sure you, if you want all the behind the scenes, if you want videos first and updates and writings first and screenplays that nobody else is going to see except for the judges for screenwriting competitions, and read along with me as I'm editing and finishing my latest book, you can do all that at patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. That's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, where you can become a supporter and get access to all of that bonus material. So check that out there.
Oh, well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. Although revolution, always a good idea. Mm-hmm. As always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Viva la revolution! Viva la Quebec!
All right, now you've just ruined it. Why would you possibly bring Quebec into this? It's completely unnecessary.
I wanted to get you all hot and bothered.